Funke and the Haunted House by Estar-Stories and Folktales. Funke needed a job more than anything. At 16, she felt the weight of responsibility. Her mother struggled to make ends meet as a single parent, taking care of Funke and her younger sister Titi. The money her mother made from selling vegetables in the market was not enough to pay for their rent and school fees. One afternoon, Funke heard about a job opening as a house help in a big house not far from her street. She immediately applied, and to her surprise, she was hired the same day. The owner of the house, a tall, quiet man named Mr. Okafor, interviewed her. He looked serious but kind. "You will take care of my 1-year-old son, Samuel," Mr. Okafor said, handing her the baby who was asleep. "I work at night and I come back in the daytime. I need you to be here at all times to take care of Samuel while I'm away." Funke nodded eagerly. The job was a blessing for her family. "Yes, sir, I will do my best," she said to Mr. Okafor. Mr. Okafor smiled a little. "Good, but there is one rule you must follow. You see that door at the end of the hallway?" He pointed to a dark wooden door. Funke looked at the door. It seemed like any other door in the house, but something about it made her feel uneasy. "Yes, sir," she replied softly. He looked at her sternly. "Never enter that room, no matter what. Do not open the door for any reason. Do you understand?" Funke swallowed and nodded. "Yes, sir, I understand." Mr. Okafor's face turned serious. "If you follow this rule, you will be fine." The house was large and beautiful with tall ceilings and polished floors. But it was also very quiet. The only sounds Funke heard were the cries of baby Samuel or the ticking of the large grandfather clock in the living room. At first, everything seemed normal. Mr. Okafor left for work every night at midnight, and Funke would watch over Samuel, feeding him and putting him to sleep, and also keeping the house clean. But as the nights went on, strange things began to happen. One night, as she was feeding Samuel, Funke heard a soft tapping sound. It came from the direction of the forbidden door. She froze, her heart beating fast. Tap, tap, tap. She stood up, holding Samuel close. The tapping sound growing louder. She looked at the clock. It was 12:30 a.m. Mr. Okafor had already left for work. Who could that be? She whispered to herself. She wanted to ignore it, but the sound didn't stop. Her curiosity got the better of her. She tiptoed towards the door, her heart pounding. She reached out and touched the door knob, but quickly pulled her hand back, remembering Mr. Okafor's warning. Never enter that room, no matter what. Funke shook her head and backed away. "No, I won't. I promised," she whispered. She returned to the living room, trying to calm down, but the tapping didn't stop. It continued every night at the same time, always after midnight. One evening, as Mr. Okafor was leaving for work, Funke finally gathered the courage to ask him, "Sir, what is in that room?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Why am I not allowed to go in?" Mr. Okafor's face darkened. He turned slowly and looked at her, his eyes cold. "Don't ask questions you don't want answers to," he said quietly. "Just do your job. Remember your place, Funke," he warned her. Funke felt a chill run down her spine. She nodded quickly and stepped back, clutching Samuel tightly. Mr. Okafor left the house without another word. Days passed and the strange occurrences became more frequent. Funke started hearing whispers, soft, eerie voices, calling her name in the night. Shadows seemed to move along the walls. Even when she was alone, the baby cried more often, and she found herself growing more frightened with each passing day. One night, unable to take the fear any longer, Funke decided to open the door. She knew it was a bad idea, but she couldn't help herself. She needed to know what was behind it. With trembling hands, she approached the door. The tapping had started again, louder than ever. She glanced at the baby monitor to make sure Samuel was still asleep, then turned the doorknob slowly. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, cold room. At first, Funke couldn't see anything. The room smelled damp and musty, like it hadn't been opened in years. She stepped inside cautiously, her heart racing so fast. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, she saw something that made her gasp. In the center of the room was an old crib. Inside the crib was a small bundle covered in dust and cobwebs. Funke felt a wave of nausea as she realized what it was. Another baby, but this one was not alive. She stumbled backward, her mind racing. Why would Mr. Okafor keep this hidden? What happened to this child? Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, echoing all around her. Help me! Help me! Funke screamed and ran out of the room, slamming the door behind her. She grabbed Samuel from his crib and ran to the front door, but it wouldn't open, no matter how she tried. Let me out! Funke cried, banging on the door, but no one answered. Just then, she heard the sound of footsteps behind her. She turned and saw Mr. Okafor standing in the hallway, his eyes cold and filled with anger. I told you not to go into that room, he said, his voice low and dangerous. Now you know the truth. Funke backed away, clutching Samuel tightly. Please, please, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to know. Mr. Okafor's expression didn't change. He moved closer to her, and as he did, the air around them seemed to grow colder. The light flickered, and the shadows in the house seemed to come alive, swelling around him. You should have listened, he whispered. Now you can never leave. Funke's heart raced. She felt trapped, but she wasn't going to give up without a fight. With all the strength she had, she ran towards the window. She used her elbow to smash the glass, creating a small opening. Without thinking, she pushed Samuel through first, then squeezed herself, ignoring the cuts on her arms from the broken glass. As soon as her feet touched the ground outside, she heard a loud scream coming from inside the house. She didn't look back. She ran as fast as she could, Samuel crying in her arms. She didn't stop until she reached the main road. She found help from a neighbor who called the police, but when they returned to the house, they found it empty. There was no sign of Mr. Okafor or the strange room with the crib. Funke never went back to that house. Again, she didn't care about the money anymore. All she wanted was to be safe with her family. And to this day, Funke wonders what really happened in that house. But she knows one thing for sure: some secrets are better left undiscovered. The end.